Well, hello, my baby gorillas. Oh my goodness, boomer night tonight. Oh dear. Well, hello, my baby gorillas. And boomer night tonight. Let's just see if we're recording now. Oh my god. What a nightmare that was. I guess the first one's always the hardest, isn't it? Let's just see if we're coming through. Oh, we're live. Oh. Well, hello, my baby gorillas. And boomer night tonight. Oh, fantastic, guys. Absolutely fantastic. We've finally got it. Obviously, the first time of doing anything is the hardest. So, we've finally got the encoder working. We're live streaming. We're only 40 minutes late, so that's pretty good timing as far as I'm concerned. Let us go and go right into this. Mr. Keir Starmer. I'm going to go on Carol Benjamin's stream and have a wee look at this because he has surmised what is happening. What is happening with Sir Keir Starmer and his cabinet so accurately just now. So let's have a wee look at what's happening with Sargon of Akkad, and let's see what he said. If you've not signed up to Carol and I are pretty much on the same square in the political spectrum. So if you want to know my politics, just have a wee look at Carol's, and we're pretty much together as classical liberals or libertarian liberalists. So let's have a look at what Carol has said about Sir Keir.
So apparently the other day, Daisy Ridley, the lady who played...
Ah, that's interesting.
David, this is racist.
At least while I've been here, and I've been here for a little while now.
Jacob Rees-Mogg has been absolutely clear that he does not endorse the AFD. It's a dangerous thing, surely, to accuse him of being close to Nazi ideology. These are elected Conservative MPs.
I don't care how elected they were. So was the far right in Germany. They're often elected.
The only way forward
Will lead this great party. We haven't seen the police while I've been here, and I've been here for a little while now.
Jacob Rees-Mogg has been absolutely clear that he does not endorse the AFD. It's a dangerous thing, surely, to accuse him of being close to Nazi ideology. These are elected Conservative MPs.
I don't care how elected they were. So
you don't care how
far
elected
right in Germany. They're often elected.
The only way forward is a final say, people's vote.
Am I tough enough? Tough enough? Hell yes, I'm tough enough.
You would go back to Europe, try and get a better deal, have a referendum where Remain is an option. Would you then be campaigning against your own deal?
Personally, I will campaign to Remain.
Even if you negotiate?
I will negotiate to the best of my ability.
I mean, deal that will look... it's very difficult for me to understand why people are voting for these politicians. It is very difficult for me to comprehend how buffoonish and how counterproductive this political ensemble of characters are, and it's staggering. This is probably because every one of these individuals are very outspoken, and every one of them is a Remainer. So the Labour Party front bench is now a Remain party. That I think we'll just watch it again. So let's break it down. This is not this encoder's not working very well just now. This is probably amateur night for me, being a boomer, and the fact that I've not used the encoder so far, but I'm sure it'll all work out in the wash. This is obviously the first night I've gone live. Usually I go live off of the iPhone, and unfortunately they've now wanted to put the encoder in, which I'm sure will work out better in the long run when I actually figure out what the hell's happening on the encoder. But I thought the capture would have been better. But anyway, let's just have a wee look at what's actually happening. So, Sir Keir Starmer, the corporatist globalist, the member of the Trilateral Commission, is is now the leader of the Labour Party. Trilateral Commission also had Jeffery Epstein. We'll come into all of this in a second. Wish I could work this out. This is not how I anticipated this going at all. But anyway, let's continue with what Carol has said on ACAD Daily. If you've not subscribed, go and subscribe.
Great party. We haven't seen a police while I've been here, and
I mean, it's almost comically buffoonish. It's like we've actually lowered the standard. I think there are black Britons who are far more intelligent than the race-baiting David Lammy, who's now the Shadow Justice Secretary. That everything's about race. I mean, David Lammy is a racist. Because everything he talks about, I don't, and neither do the classical liberals, talk about race unless it's the countering the extreme neo-Marxist left. And now we've got a Shadow Justice Secretary who is an anti-white race baiter. And it's going to be very interesting to find out in David Lammy's constituency next year what the demographics have been in his constituency, and to see if there is a anti-white bias in David Lammy's constituency for the indigenous British population. That's going to be very interesting. Probably be covered up like the Muslim child rape gang report by the Conservatives.
I've been here for a little while now.
Jacob Rees-Mogg has been absolutely clear that he does not endorse the AFD. It's a dangerous thing, surely, to accuse him of being close to Nazi ideology. These are elected Conservative MPs.
I don't care how elected they were. So was the far right in Germany. They're often elected.
So David Lammy doesn't care how elected somebody is.
Vote.
Am I tough enough? Hell yes, I'm tough enough.
You would go back to Europe, try and get a better
Oh my goodness, Wallace and Gromit doesn't think it's tough enough. I mean, it's just absolutely incredible. We've got Arch Remainer Emily Thornberry, who's going to negotiate a deal and then argue against the deal that she's negotiated with.
Would you then be campaigning against your own deal?
Personally, I will campaign to remain.
Even negotiate?
Oh my God. So we've got a whole bunch of Remainers. So the way that, and not only the misrepresentation of the actual people within their constituency, but in the flagrant disregard for that, now we've got a Labour Party, a London-centric Keir Starmer, who doesn't care about anything outside the M25 except for the people who have been placed in the constituencies who are deliberately misrepresenting their constituents if the majority have voted to leave and they want controlled immigration. And this is not the shadow cabinet you want. This is a cabinet full of Remainers.
I will negotiate to the best of my ability a deal that will look after jobs.
Yeah, I'm sure the best of your ability is absolutely massive. Emily, I'm sure it's absolutely huge. You're the best of your ability. The Trilateral Commission is obviously a globalist entity, and Nicola Sturgeon obviously went over there. One of the first things, Nicola Sturgeon, a nationalist, went over there and was paying homage to. So we've got a Scottish Nationalist Party and a Labour Party who are paying homage to the Trilateral Commission's globalist ambitions, who don't care about the people of in the UK and they've just got a completely separate agenda, not the agenda that they'll tell you in the manifesto. They've got the globalist manifesto, and they will stick to it. So do the Tories. So let's not say that the Labour Party are different from the Tories.
The jobs and the economy is for us to remember.
Do you have any idea how ridiculous that sounds?
I mean, you couldn't actually write it. You could only write it if you've got a separate agenda. The only way that this would actually be in any way acceptable is if the underlying agenda that you have disregards the political aspirations and desires of your own constituents. So even the Labour manifesto that will come out is only going to be based on the globalist ideals: open borders, mass immigration, abuse of the indigenous population, diversity is a strength, which is basically just a racist ideology to prevent the indigenous population even getting into jobs. So this is all starting through the Marxist lens. Let's see what Naj Shah is okay to. Girls should be keep their mouths shut for the sake of diversity through the child rapist death cult that is Islam.
These girls in Rotherham and elsewhere just need to shut their mouths for the good of diversity. She liked and fucking shared it.
And not only that, did the Labour Party not actually cover up the Muslim child rape gangs? So they obviously, the Labour Party have rejected any notion of supporting the working class. They will actually allow, and obviously there should be a public inquiry into Gordon Brown and Jackie Smith to see if they covered up, because obviously I've already gone through that Mohammed was a rapist himself, and it's acceptable for Muslims to rape non-Muslims, and it's now been covered up by the corporatist globalists, which is in the Labour Party. But the corporatist globalists are not just in the Labour Party; they're also in the Conservatives, Liberal Democrats. The illusion of choice, and that all of these political entities have alluded to, is the illusion of choice. So we've now got a Muslim Bradford MP who's saying it's okay to rape non-Muslims and they should just shut up, and nobody, because the Labour Party is full of scumbags, they've actually not, there's no fame in it, because Islam is far right, extreme right, and that it's very misogynistic. It's the most misogynistic thing in the UK just now. That people in the cult, like Naj Shah, are saying that it's okay for these children to be raped and pimped out, and then they're going to cover it up. And Keir Starmer, because he's part of the corporatist globalist cabal through the Trilateral Commission, is quite happy to actually do that. I mean, they're really a disgusting bunch. Let's hear what Carol has to say about this.
उम्मीदवार नाज शाह ने भी 12 दिसंबर के पार्लिमानी इंतखाबात के लिए अपनी मुहिम का बाकायदा आगाज कर
हमें चाहिए कि हर बच्चे को वो जिंदगी शुरू न करे ट्यूशन फीस के कर्जे.
So she's just basically saying Mohammed said it's okay to rape non-Muslims. I think that's what she's saying in Urdu and in Arabic. There's similarities there from both of the languages.
Comrades. I'm
comrades. Is it comrades?
Comrades.
As I said, that now the unholy alliance of left-wing socialism, Marxism, because they're all calling each other comrades, and they're putting up statues to Friedrich Engels. The Manchester Labour Party were putting up statues to Friedrich Engels. That the unholy alliance of right-wing Islamists and left-wing Marxists and the counter beliefs. I mean, they're completely opposed that women should be protected, but unless you're getting raped by a Muslim, then that's okay. So there's, I mean, even in Scotland, the SNP are now in bed with the Islamists, and it's okay. They're going to cover up the rapes of children in Scotland as well. Oh, let's see this.
Comrades, comrades.
Comrades, comrades.
Comrades. Oh, great. Abandoned the working class for Sir Keir Starmer, the globalist diddy. There he is. And we don't know, obviously, we know what's happened with Jeffrey Epstein. I don't think anybody, I have to go through the pervasiveness of Jeffrey Epstein, that he was controlling other people by making sexual videos with children. And obviously Sir Keir Starmer was part of the same Trilateral Commission group set up by David Rockefeller, that he's part of this group. So we don't know if Keir Starmer has been compromised. The fact that he has set up these, he's part of this sexually explicit organisation that exploits the highest echelons of our political class. I mean, Jeffrey Epstein had a picture of Bill Clinton in Hillary's dress. So I mean, it's obviously political compromisation at the highest level. We only have to look at Ted Heath to see this compromising of our political elite. So, and it also affects the Tories as well. So it's not just the illiberal, liberal, undemocratic Democrats. I'm a libertarian liberalist. I'm a classical liberal. I don't share the same principles as Joe Swinton and the disgusting things that they're doing. But from the Social Democrats like Keir Starmer in the Labour Party, he's obviously Tony Blair's guy. He's obviously going to want to reverse Brexit. So I don't know how he's going to win back the Labour heartlands. I mean, that seems absolutely incredible that he can actually win back the Labour heartlands. Wanting to increase immigration, having a race-baiting, anti-white racist like David Lammy as Justice Secretary, having Naz Shah, an anti-Semite, who the Labour Party have obviously said they're going to fight anti-Semitism, and obviously, as I've said before, that Islam is probably more anti-Semitic than Mein Kampf and the National Socialists were. So, and they brought Naz Shah into the front line of politics, and obviously she's a massive anti-Semite, a bit like the other Muslim ladies like Linda Cockroach and Ilhan Omar, all anti-Semites, all reflecting the teachings of Muhammad.
Keir Starmer's shadow cabinet is looking very good if you don't want Labour to win anything.
Everyone's a Remainer. Everyone nearly is a Remainer. I think Carl's going to talk about this in a minute. And I mean, it's still deeply anti-Semitic. There's two factions of anti-Semitism, as far as political factions, as far as I can see it, in the Labour Party just now, and that is the Islamists, the Islamists who are anti-Semitic, and also the Marxists who think that obviously the Jews control the world from the banking. Whether or not that's true, I don't know, but they see it. That was the mural that Mr. Steptoe had actually endorsed, where the Jews were on the back of the working class. So there seems to be two strains of anti-Semitism within the Labour Party just now, and obviously Keir Starmer, as a member of the Trilateral Commission, is endorsing the globalist probably trying to reintegrate the UK back into the EU and endorsing the mass immigration and the anti-white agenda. So he's almost like a reverse racist, Keir Starmer. So that, I mean, he's quite a disgusting individual.
In the near future, he has picked a shadow cabinet that appears to be 100% Remain. In fact,
100% Remain, and that's really the London-centric Remainer has now done the bidding of the Trilateral Commission and decided to say, well, we're only going to be a London party, because I think they're going to lose even more candidates once people say, like Lisa Nando's, who's a mass immigrationist and anti-white as well, an anti-white racist, and the Labour Party are now an anti-white racist party. Even the white people in it are just reverse racists.
Did some statistics and calculated it. 100% of them campaign to Remain. 13 or 44% of them are People's voters.
100%. So how's that going to appeal to? How's his open door immigration? But the Conservatives are still open door immigrationists as well. They're talking about a points-based system where people are just walking in through an open border. And we had somebody who raped a woman, who people on the plane stopped the Muslim rapist being deported. Nobody stopped me when I was deported from Dubai, I'll tell you that just now. And I did a lot less. I was actually attacked by the UAE state taxi driver. So nobody stopped me, and I certainly wasn't doing that, what this guy from Somalia was accused of doing in the UK. And people are preventing deportations. It's disgusting.
Then they want a second referendum, and 41% are in leave to heavy leave seats. So generally they do not still represent the people over which they are governing, and they seem initially to be a bad set of choices. But Labour is stuck with bad choices at this point, because, I mean, let's be honest,
and this is where, I mean, it just shows you how accurate my predictions are, that I said that the Labour Party are going to collapse. If the Labour Party think that the downside of what has actually happened to them is this election, I think it's actually going to go further down the rabbit hole. I think we're going to see that the Labour Party are going to completely collapse, because you've got people misrepresenting their constituents. You've got people wanting the opposite of what their constituents want. And when the actual British public wake up, they say, well, this person's not representing me. I'm not just going to vote for the Labour Party for the sake of voting for them. Then we're going to see potentially a complete change in the way that we're actually being governed, and the Labour Party will completely disappear. They'll just become like the Liberals. And what we'll see is other parties. We've already seen the UK Libertarian Party starting up, which is in a completely different part of the political compass. We've got the Scottish Libertarian Party, and we're going to see very soon another Libertarian Party, a centrist Libertarian Party, none of which will hold the globalist objectives.
Keir Starmer himself isn't exactly a golden choice, is he? He campaigned to leave, saying that Brexit...
So not only did he campaign to leave, he was the person, the globalist man in charge, who was the globalist man in charge who was actually advocating to change the policy to Remain, which also didn't go down well with the Labour heartlands, who all voted to leave, and in Wales either. And we can only see this actually played out. There's been no bounds in the Labour fortunes for Keir Starmer actually coming to power. There's been no bounce at all. So Keir Starmer is already going to lead the Labour Party into another disastrous election. Obviously, Boris is now even being in a hospital bed with coronavirus. Boris is still ahead of, and significantly ahead of the Conservatives go over 50%. I don't think the Conservatives are any less corporatist than globalists. They're still not deporting illegal immigrants. They're still not getting rid of even criminals who have committed some heinous crimes that have been allowed into this country.
Can be stopped, and contradicted Jeremy Corbyn on this, who said, rightfully so, that Brexit can't be stopped. You've got people like Lisa Nandy, who is also in the shadow cabinet, who campaigned to defend freedom of movement, saying, look, we should have been bold. I believe in...
Oh, she believes in open borders, so I don't think that's going to go down well with people who don't believe in Labour supporting members who don't believe in open borders. That might go down well with the left-wing neo-Marxists. And it really annoys me that people are calling... I'm a liberal... the people that they're calling liberals are not liberals. These are Marxists. These are the extreme left. This is the loony left. That people are calling liberals. It's a complete misdirection. People who are woke or progressive are Marxists. So let's stop calling them liberals. They're not liberals in any sort of way. So Lisa Nando's believes in open borders, which the majority of people in the UK, as Carol's going to point out, don't.
Open borders. Well, the country disagrees. Nobody in the country, really, apart from lunatic left-wingers, believe in open borders. Unless maybe you own a corporation and the cheap labour is good for you, Lisa, people's champion. But Ed Miliband is back, and this is surprising. Ed Miliband led the Labour Party during the...
Yeah, and he did really well, really. Oh, fantastic. Oh, my goodness, what another disaster. But another corporatist globalist. Let's not kid on that Wallace and Gromit here is going to be any sort of pool for voters. Just the same as Keir Starmer, another corporatist globalist. We only have to look at what happened with Ted Heath. And the accusations have been levelled against Ted Heath's indiscretion, shall we say, the fact that these people might have been compromised, politically compromised. Same with Keir Starmer, maybe it might be compromised by the fact that him and Jeffrey Epstein were both part of the Trilateral Commission. And obviously, in the Trilateral Commission, there has been manipulation of the people in the highest positions in our country that may have been compromised.
Period of time where the coalition government was in charge, generally wasn't considered to be a great leader, and he was I think Jeremy Corbyn took over directly from him. But Ed Miliband, because he's been around for a long time, he's unfavourable. Half the public already don't like him, and only about a quarter do. And he's got a bunch of political gaffes under his belt, as you would have seen at the clip at the beginning. Ed Miliband confronting Jeremy Paxman, being confronted by Paxman on the idea that maybe he isn't tough enough to leave the country. Now, one look at Ed Miliband and he looks like a wet drip. Like, there's nothing to him. He looks like a gust of wind is going to blow him over. And so when he leant in and said, right, listen to me, everyone just in the audience starts laughing at him. He's like, hell, and then he goes through his spiel and then goes, hell yes, I'm tough enough. Yeah, that's not very convincing. You know, that was poorly addressed there, Ed. Another prominent appointment is, of course, Jess Phillips.
Jess Phillips, oh my
I don't want to spend too much time on
the men's suicide denier. Oh, and Jess Phillips is really hard done by. Oh my goodness, it must be really tough being Jess Phillips. All these women, like even like Nicola Sturgeon, even like the Duchess of wherever, Sussex. All these women have got massive chips on their shoulder while they're at the top of society. Nobody feels oppressed. Nobody feels oppressed for Emma Watson, a multi-millionaire. Nobody thinks, oh my goodness, these ladies are very hard done by. But while at the same time, because Jess Phillips is a man-hating misandrist that wants to laugh at men's suicide, as I've already said, that I've lost friends to men's suicide, that she's oppressed. Oh, even though she is as a legislator, only 650 legislators in the British Parliament, she's at the top of society. She's still oppressed. Nobody feels sorry for you, Jess.
I've done way too many videos on her as it is, but she will also be in the public's face on a daily basis, complaining about the Conservative government that is at the moment so popular. You also have Rebecca Long Bailey, who is John McDonnell's personal.
So we've got a Long Island iced tea, who is Corbyn in address. That's what the general conception. Another neo-Marxist, probably, I don't know if it was her that put up the statue to Frederick Engels, who advocated genocide against the Scots as well. Maybe that's why the Labour Party are going to get absolutely smashed, maybe because it's become an Islamist and the Marxist Party, and now obviously under the auspices of the Trilateral Commission and Keir Starmer's the man there who's now controlling it all. He's Tony Blair in address, and they're all being controlled. The Marxists, who are also globalists, and now we've got the race baiters in there, the Islamists as well. So they're all being controlled now. A bit like the SNP is becoming, it's becoming an Islamist and Marxist party, and now we've got the Labour Party becoming an Islamist and Marxist party, the two largest mass murdering political ideologies the world has ever known.
Endorsed candidates. She's the voice that we need, says the open communist. Well, I'm sure he would say that.
I mean, John McDonnell, as Carol rightly pointed out, has been on. He's a self-confessed communist. Can you imagine? He was a self-confessed Nazi, and the communists have murdered more people than the National Socialists. Both National Socialism and communism being a left-wing authoritarian ideology, and we've got somebody like John McDonnell who's openly advocating for communism that has murdered more people than National Socialism, and this intersectional racism, which is now founting slightly further right, or neither National Socialist or ethno-nationalism on the far right, that because of this oppression Olympics done by these characters. Nobody feels sorry for Rebecca Long Bailey being a woman because she is one of the legislators. I mean, it's pathetic.
Picks again, and I'm so pleased that these people on the front bench, so the public get to be exposed to their nonsense on a daily basis. It's like David Lammy, who in 2013 claimed that the Pope was racist.
David Lammy's just an anti-white race baiter. Let's be honest, that's just what David Lammy is. We'll very soon see David Lammy's demographics in his constituency to see if he's running an anti-British, anti-white British policies within his constituency. We'll see how the demographics have declined within David Lammy's constituency. That'll be very interesting.
I mean, may have been true at the time, who knows? But the choosing of the new pope was happening, and the way that's done, I guess through ancient tradition, is that black smoke or white smoke is let out into the air, so people can see from miles around that a new pope has been chosen. And he obviously didn't know this, because someone said, will the smoke be black or white? And he was like, oh, that's crass and unnecessary. And everyone was like, no, that's how they decide whether the new pope's been chosen. But instantly, David, this is racist. Racist smoke. But everything's racist, you know, like Stacey Dooley going to Africa and helping people is racist, to which everyone says, shut up, David. John Cleese is, of course, racist because London, he doesn't believe, is an English city anymore, accurately so, in my opinion. And he's got a baffling view on history, too. Like, he thought that 1 million Indians died in World War II fighting for the European project.
I mean, let's just see if we can get this up. Let's see. Mastermind David Lammy. I mean, David Lammy's not a good representation of Black Britain. I think there's much more intelligent individuals than David Lammy in the UK, and he's just not a good representation of them. I think there's much more intelligent black, but I mean, I think when we have to look at this as well, in our universities, we have to look at what is actually happening and finding out if our universities are pumping out this cancerous Marxism. David Lammy mastermind. Let's see this. Oh, here we go. There we are.
Great. 8 points you have with Muhammad Ali. Let's see how you do with general knowledge. 2 minutes starting now. What was the married name of the scientists Marie and Pierre who won the Nobel Prize for Physics in 1903 for their research into radiation?
Antoinette.
Curie. Cockpit country is a rugged, inaccessible area on which Caribbean island?
This guy went to Oxford.
Pass.
Which former Conservative leader in a magazine article in August 2000 claimed that while working as a deliveryman's assistant, he downed around 14 pints of beer a day?
William Hague.
Yes, which fortress was built in the 1370s to defend one of the gates of Paris and was later used as a state prison by Cardinal Richelieu?
Versailles.
The Bastille. In February 2008, which Tottenham Hotspur player scored the first goal of Fabio Capello's reign as England football manager?
Aaron Lennon.
Jermaine Ginnas. James Gandolfini played a mafia boss called Tony in which American television series?
Godfather.
The Sopranos. What name is used for the highest gallery of seats in a theatre?
Pass.
Which organisation was founded in 1909 as the home section of the Secret Service Bureau to counteract the threat of German spies?
MI5.
Yes. Which American military award is given to those who are wounded in action and bears the inscription for military merit on the reverse?
Pass.
Chris Martin is the lead singer with which award-winning British band?
Coldplay.
Yes. Which variety of blue English cheese traditionally accompanies port?
Leicester.
Stilton. What term for a top-floor luxury flat originally meant a shed or outhouse?
Penthouse.
Yes. In 2006, Sandy Toksvig replaced Simon Hoggett as the presenter of which topical Radio 4 quiz show?
Pass.
Which American chat show host has business ventures including Harpo Productions and Oxygen Media, which operates a 24-hour cable television network for women?
Oprah Winfrey.
Yes. Who acceded to the English throne at the age of 9 on the death of his father Henry VIII in 1547?
Henry VII.
Edward VI. In chemistry, what French word is used for a tube for transferring measured amounts of liquids?
Pass.
Which country's so-called Rose Revolution of 2003 led to the resignation of its president, Edward Shevardnadze?
Yugoslavia.
No, it was Georgia. You had 5 passes.
My God.
What do you use for transferring?
I mean, I don't know what to say on the back of that. Not the brightest and best.
And he was next to a UKIP MP at the time. And this is how it went. 1 million Indians died fighting for us. They fought for the European project. They're not going to vote now on the basis of whether Granny can come over for a wedding. And the guy's like, did you say they fought for the European project? He's like, yes, they fought for the European project.
These are ideologues. I mean, these are political. These are the Labour Party is now a political ideologue for the Remainers, and how they're going to win back with my open border immigration and just ignoring the Leave voters in their constituency. They're going to have to hope that they're very loyal to the Labour Party brand, but I don't think they're going to be loyal to the Labour Party brand. And the Conservatives are just going to be as bad. The Conservatives are opened up because they're also corporatist globalists. They're opened up to being smacked about as well politically. There's a big opportunity in politics, in British politics just now, for a new party to come in. A big opportunity.
Stephen Wolfchamp rightly replies, they fought for Britain to get rid of a European dictator. They didn't fight for the European Union or the EEC. That's a complete perversion of history. I completely agree. An excellent response. But David Lammy, famously, he was on Mastermind. And he was asked, well, who was Henry VIII's son? And he was like, Henry VII? It's like, David, you idiots. That's the opposite of how that works. And of course, David Lammy was directly opposed to Brexit, and you may well recall him calling Jacob Rees-Mogg not just Hitler, but worse than Hitler, when challenged on the idea that the European Research Group in the Conservative Party, which is just an anti-European Union, pro-Brexit group, was somehow like the Nazis.
I mean, it's disgusting. It's not even nice politics. It's just disgusting politics. I mean, just a horrible individual, David Lammy is, just a race-baiting, anti-white racist. And the fact that he says, oh, the Nazis came to power with democracy, well, there's nothing democratic about 28 unelected commissioners dictating our legislation from the EU, David.
Which, again, is staggering how he doesn't associate anything on the continent with the Nazis, but the Conservatives in Britain, who I guess would probably say that they idolise Winston Churchill, definitely Nazis. In fact, worse than Nazis, in David Lammy's view. But anyway, we could stop this madness. Well, it turns out there was no brakes on that train, David. And it's a real shame that he didn't go for the leadership himself, because I would have much preferred... Oh, man, that's an unflattering photo they've used, isn't it? Guardian. Christ. But I would have loved David Lammy to have been the leader. But I'm glad he's on the front bench. Just sat next to Emily Thornberry, who I thought was wonderful as well. She's the kind of unthinkingly, like, she doesn't understand left-wing ideology, but she identifies as a left-winger, but she's from the Islington metropolitan elite.
What she is a corporatist globalist. That's what Emily is. I think Emily is just pushing the corporatist globalist agenda, closely aligned to Sir Keir from that point of view. Not really a socialist, but part of that London self-entitled group that doesn't have a relationship with the rest of England, Wales, Scotland, which is why we can see the poll ratings, and I'll come on to that in a minute.
And so she is so condescending. Back in fact, in April, she was appointed as the Shadow International Trade Secretary, which is good because she seems to actually hate England. This is back from 2014, where she tweeted out this image from Rochester. What's so offensive about this image? Well, I guess it's the England flags. To which everyone was like, sorry, what's the problem here? Because back in 2014, it wasn't compulsory that you hated this country. And the person whose house it was just called her a snob. I don't know who she is, but she's a snob. I will continue to fly those flags. And everyone's like, good. And so this turned into a thing where she's like, she doesn't have respect for voters. You know, Farage says Labour hates the concept of Englishness.
And I think they do. They literally want to tear down, not just England, but the left want to tear down the liberal democracies of the UK, in the UK as well, and replace it with the cancerous ideology of authoritarian socialism or Marxism, and have a whole new shit show which has never worked anywhere. And I would suggest that they just pack up and go and live in a country that actually has this ideology. Why don't they just go and live in China, and then that'll solve it, or go and live in Venezuela? Which country would they actually like to go and live in? Go over there, and then there would be akin to the ideology. Nobody who've got any sense want the Labour Party to bring in the loony left ideology. I think Labour Party is finished. I think they're actually finished as an entity. I think they're just a race-baiting, anti-white, mass immigrationist, want to actually treat the people who have emigrated here better than actually treat the people, the indigenous population, while at the same time it's all about me and my own self-entitlement. It's absolutely disgusting.
Farage spitting facts there, as it were. And the funny thing is, as well, like, even the press were like, troll her then, you know, the press are lots of English flags, because she does clearly seem to hate the country. But of course, she is an arch Remainer, as people like Brendan O'Neill and others have excoriated her for years now. She is actually a lunatic when it comes to Remain, because she went on Question Time and said, no, I'm not just a Remainer, I'm, she wants to campaign to overturn the referendum or something.
So she wants to ignore, how's this going to play out? So Emily Thornberry, as well as Sir Keir Starmer, is now going to win back the Labour heartlands in the north by saying, yeah, so we know we get absolutely wiped out of that last election, but we've now come back and said that we're wanting more mass immigration, and we're wanting to rejoin the EU, and this is our strategy to win back. And we're going to have a more fluffy sort of socialism or social democracy it's just going to be about our self-entitlement. I mean, you can see how fat Thornberry is. I mean, she's not been down the food banks recently, has she?
Offence. And so she lays out that Labour are going to go there, negotiate the best deal they can, and then campaign against that deal. To which I think it was Ian Dale was just like, do you understand how ridiculous that is? No one's going to pick that over, say, Boris Johnson. But I think my absolute favourite...
I think there's limitations in the Conservative Party. I think I think because the Conservatives are the only choice, but I don't think the Conservative Party, by any stretch of the imagination, are not still going to allow open borders. They're still a corporatist globalist party. They're not a capitalist party. They're a corporatist party. And until the Conservative Party get kicked out for a libertarian liberalist party, we're going to continue to see open borders.
Naz Shah. Now, you may well remember Naz Shah because she was the one who was encouraged to resign.
Should resign after tweeting sex abuse victims should keep their mouth shut for the good. Keep their mouth shut for the good of diversity. So obviously Islam's a child rapist death cult, and she says that they should the victims of sexual grooming. I mean, that she's obviously not a feminist in the left-wing tradition, because she obviously thinks it's okay, as long as you're a Muslim, it's okay to rape non-Muslims. If you had the Quran and changed one word from Muslim to non-believer and non-believer to Muslim, it'd be very interesting to see how many Muslims would have to get gang raped by non-Muslims for it to hit the headlines. I mean, obviously, the corporatist globalists think it's one rule for one and one for another.
After telling grooming gang victims that they should shut their mouths for the sake of diversity, she liked and shared a tweet about
disgusting.
that.
I mean, she a disgusting individual, absolutely disgusting. If a Conservative, if I said that, I would have been sacked right away. And the fact that the Labour Party have stood by her just shows you how morally bankrupt the Labour Party are.
Mistake. It was a parody of Owen Jones, and I guess that she had mistaken it for Owen Jones. But this teenager was speaking out her abuser, and the tweet said, those abused girls in Rotherham and elsewhere just need to shut their mouths for the good of diversity. She later deleted the retweet and unliked the post. Probably good idea. But I love it. A spokesman in her office like, this was a genuine accident, and suggest otherwise was absolutely nonsense. She accidentally liked it and retweeted it. Weird. But like,
I mean, if you're coming from a religion that's pro-rape, that your prophet is a rapist and a sexual slave trader, and they think it's okay to rape non-Muslims, then she probably doesn't think she's done anything wrong, as I said, and she's making anti-Semitic. So the way that the Labour Party are dealing with anti-Semitism is to promote anti-Semites like Naz Shah to the front bench. That's the way that the Labour Party are dealing with anti-Semitism.
Owen Jones has actually said. But so she's not exactly my favourite as it goes. But she was also suspended from the Labour Party 3 years ago
absolutely
for being anti-Semite.
The worst individuals you could potentially put forward into a Labour front bench. It's an absolutely disgusting bunch. Disgusting.
A statement saying it accepted her apology for a series of posts in 2014 in which she appeared to endorse the suggestion that Israelis be deported to the United States. Well, why wouldn't we deport them to Israel? But she didn't let that hold her back, though, because
why would we be deporting them at all? I mean, I think we should be deporting Muslim child rapists back to their country of origin, and not allow just people to walk into the border. If people are coming here illegally and illegal immigrants, we should be deporting them. We shouldn't be just letting them. We certainly shouldn't be giving them any incentive. And the Conservative Party are guilty of this as well, giving them houses and things like that as well. We should be deporting them.
2 years ago, she got a role as the Shadow Equalities Minister. The Equalities Minister who just wants to
I mean,
deport
why would you
Jews
want
from the...
a scumbag like this in the Equalities? I mean, just absolutely disgusting individual. She's a feminist unless it's Muslims raping non-Muslim children. I mean, absolutely, that's the equality. We've got a race, anti-white race-baiting grifter like David Lammy as the Justice Secretary, and she's the Equality Secretary. I mean, there's nothing equal about this, and that's the scumbag that Keir Starmer is, probably compromised by having sex tapes on them with children for Jeffery Epstein.
UK.
Allegedly.
Because she doesn't like them Jews, I guess. I guess there are a fair few conspiracy theories going around in the Labour Party about Jews at the moment, aren't there? I wonder if those leaks have shown anything. But I'll talk about that in another video. So anyway, to conclude, I'm rather pleased with the people that Keir Starmer has put on his front bench.
Brilliant.
They're terrible. They have terrible histories. They have terrible policies. They all campaigned against Brexit. Didn't respect the will of their own.
If you've got the globalist agenda and you're backing the globalist agenda, open borders and part of an undemocratic EU, that's the agenda. Starmer, the weirdo, is actually now the corporatist globalist man in charge. And we shouldn't think that the Conservatives are much different. The Conservatives are still not deporting illegal immigrants, not deporting people who have done some horrific crimes.
Constituents, and they are generally the most mediocre bunch that you've ever seen. None of them are high achievers or experts in anything. They all appear to be total grifters who are grifting along on the back of identity politics and will continue to do so until the Labour Party finally dies and we finally actually become a one-party Conservative state, which seems to be inevitable given the way that these things are going. Anyway, if you'd like to support my channel, you can, of course, check out
support Carol. That's
very
interesting. Support Carol. Do what you're required to do there. He's a good guy, nice fellow as well. I've met him on several occasions. He's been demonetised, so obviously the people in Silicon Valley are interfering in British politics. That'll come back and bite them right in the ass. The fact that they've been interfering in British politics with British politicians. Carol's obviously stood as an MEP. I've stood as an MP, so that's going to affect him in the future. So let's go back. Carol just uploaded that. He must have known that I was doing a live stream and decided to help me out, which I greatly appreciate, Carol. Thank you very much, good fellow. So let's go and have a wee. Oh, there he is there. The anti-white racist. So Keir, and he can do this. This is not very difficult. And Jeffrey Epstein. There we go. What one did I like? There was one. Yeah, well, very interesting from Carol as usual. Probably some of the best. He's quite a funny Carol, very nice, personable fellow. And ho ho ho! And here we go. So we've now got a fight between the Marxist left and now the corporatist globals. The same thing, if you imagine in America, the same thing has happened. I know the majority of my actual subscribers and the people who watch this are actually American. The same thing is happening in American politics. You've got the corporatist globalist Bloomberg able to just buy himself into the presidential race. You've got the Islamist Ilham Omar and Linda Cockroach being supported by the Marxists. So you've got the Young Turks with Chunk Yogurt who get resoundingly defeated, who has got a YouTube channel supported by YouTube and Kluzwinski, whatever her name is, who advocated or who actually committed genocide against the Christian Armenians. And these are the people that they want to vote for, while Cenk espouses progressive neo-Marxist ideology supporting Bernie Sanders, who's now dropped out the race, who is also a Marxist. So the same things that are happening in British politics are also happening in American politics. What do Keir Starmer, Henry Kissinger and powerful Jeffrey Epstein have in common? Now this looks like the Polestar. I take it this is a left-wing organisation. So the left, no, the Marxist left, no, that Keir Starmer is a corporatist globalist as well. What organisation of approximate 400 members as of January 2020 which either includes or has included Sir Keir Starmer, Henry Kissinger and Jeffrey Epstein up until 2008 is a prominent force in the strategy for globalism towards a one world government, one world currency and a ruling political elite. So you have to then forget about the individuals and just move towards this corporatist globalist agenda. A lot of Jewish and non-Jewish members. An organisation that many have never heard of but exercise influence across the planet. In 1973, a group was formed that included members from Europe, North America and Japan. Over time, the Japanese membership was extended to become Pacific Asian membership, including in 2009 both Chinese and Indian members. Whilst North America group now includes Mexican membership, it was launched under the nominal head of David Rockefeller III, president of Chase Manhattan Bank and a coterie of international financiers and imperialistically minded ideologues who believe religiously in the utopian doctrine of global governance under master and slave, which was what basically the left under Jeremy Steptoe was actually saying. He was actually saying that there was a Jewish globalist bankers, and obviously this seems to be quite interesting that obviously Sir Keir Starmer is a part of. A huge advocate of creation of a new global order was something Jewish, Zbigniew Swarovski, who later became James Carter's 39th President of the United States Security Advisor. So obviously it's affecting people who are selected in the highest reaches of governance. His between two ages Berwowski made it very clear the nation state as a fundamental unit of man's organisation life has ceased to be the principal creative force. International banks, multinational corporations are acting and planning in terms that are far in advance of the political concepts of nation states. So basically the corporatist globalists think that they're running the show and they've got no time for local democracies. They want to actually lord it over the rest. The public face was to be a policy-orientated forum that brings together leaders in their individual capacity for the world of business, government, academia, press and media. So this is why the Guerilla TV channel is so revolutionary, because it's now challenging the narrative as well as civil society. However, in private, something far less altruistic and sinister was taking shape, one that was entirely material and rejected any notion of the spiritual within humanity, one that adopted a globalist language of specific terms that sought to render all analysis of the planet in bland binary paradigm in which they were the good and any threat to their order was bad. So the utilisation of Antifa and the left are also being utilised by the corporatist globalists. That's why the corporatist globalists have not made Antifa a terrorist organisation, because the corporatist globalists see them as their guys, even though they're extreme left, and these are authoritarian liberals who want to see this sort of new world order corporatist, more regulation to prevent competition, ignoring local democracies, local people. Mass immigration is to displace and eventually get rid of the indigenous populations. And they'll use Marxist principles through the universities to actually utilise this and do this. Who then, in this mysterious organisation, also feminism, obviously feminism is Marxism, and they'll use feminism to destroy the binary of men and women's relationships, while they will allow the polygamy of Islamists to actually have multiple wives and outbreed the population. So we can see a declining birth rate in the West because women are got this narrative of they're all hard done by. They are the Trilateral Commission. 45 years is thought a long time in modern and postmodern politics world we live in. You can see by the disgusting buildings that they've allowed to be built, and the really horrible stuff. Where once upon a time little may have happened. Now the end of the Cold War and the battle for dominance has seen nation states in conflict with increasingly enlarged corporations. The entities set up to spread neoliberal. Well, they're not classical liberal, they're authoritarian liberalism, and I think this is what we have to differentiate. I'm a liberal, but I'm a classical liberal, and these are the authoritarian liberals who believe that power should be enshrined in a small number of political elite, which obviously I don't agree with. I believe in the empowerment of the individual, not the state. Economic values are now in full-blown competition with neoconservatism. But although neoconservatism has been compromised by neoliberalism and authoritarian liberalism, authoritarian conservatism is compromised by these ideologies. In fact, Bojo has actually, and I'm glad that he's out of intensive care, but Bojo kicked out the neoliberals, the classical liberals, the people who Keir Starmer is now representing, and who, what's her face? Swinton was also representing this authoritarian liberalism, which is the opposite of what I am. Their desire to hold to the nation state with their histories and traditions, an organisation that was created to spread neoliberal free market values across. Well, it's not really free market because they want to bring in increasing regulation to prevent a free market. They are authoritarian. This is where we have to be careful on what we're actually in the definitions we're using. They're not free market values. These are to protect the corporatist globalists, the large global corporations, from competition by creating increasing regulation. If they weren't, then they would just say for 3 years for new entrants to the market, there'll be no regulation on the market. Also, not preventing stage 1 and stage 2 financing for new startup businesses. Therefore, now finds itself to recreate its forms and mission to manage the spread of nationalism, populism and protectionism, because that is a counter to the globalist agenda, the nationalism, populism, but also so is classical liberalism, which is not in the nationalist. Although nationalism or a country's identity, patriotism is can be part of the classical liberal identity as a counterweight to the corporatist globalists, all of which they have vehemently opposed because it doesn't fit with their authoritarian corporatist globalist agenda towards a one world, non-democratically elected governments, where they can manipulate this government just like they do with the EU at their will. The rise of Trump and other right-wing neoconservatives, governments and parties has meant that the free market, it's not really a free market. It is up to a point, but if you're putting in regulation at a transnational level to stop competition, which through the EU that's what they were doing, bringing in screeds and screeds of regulation, and also a national level in the Westminster Parliament, and that's through the Conservatives. Conservatives are still allowing mass immigration. Illegal immigrants are still being allowed to come. Mass immigration is still happening, and the illegal immigrants are not being deported. Even people who have committed horrendous crimes are not being deported. And they're still allowing the demographic displacement of the indigenous population. So even the neoconservatives and Boris Johnson are still actually doing this. So this is a very strange time that we're actually living in. The Trilateral Commission has sought to revert its doctrine in the face of increasing suspicion, certainly of globalisation and its impacts. I'm not going to read any more of that. How does all this reflect on Keir Starmer? Keir Starmer seems to be doing a good job of pitching himself as being on the left himself, and to supporters claim he will unite the party, and clear to emphasis his so-called left-wing credentials. So you may hear that in his 20s he edited a Trotskyite magazine. Also, he was a communist. So Keir Starmer, the communist, is now the corporatist globalist man. Or that was the defence barrister for the miners' strike in 1984 to 85. That he stood alongside McDonald's workers on the picket lines. But there is one association Sir Keir Starmer and supporters are not talking about, the Trilateral Commission, of which Starmer is a member. Other members, as was alluded to above, include top executives of multinational conglomerates such as AT&T and ITT, oil companies such as Mobil and Exxon, and also the top CEOs of Chase Manhattan Bank, First Chicago Corporation, General Electric, TRW, Archer Daniels Midlands, Pepsi, RJR, Nissan, Toshiba, Fuji Bank, and Goldman Sachs. So all the corporatist globalists right there. These perhaps aren't the sort of people Sir Keir Starmer would see as ideal photo opportunities. Oh, let me just put on the lights for you. And the Commission set out the economic co-op, OPEC, and persuaded the Saudis to put their petrodollar into Western banks and to purchase Western arms rather than invest in the developing world. Oh, so he's got a lot to answer. He's got a lot to answer for. We could be forgiven for. See, the Tories won't hold him to account for this. The left might, the Marxist left, might do that as well. But also the classical liberals and maybe even the libertarians are more likely to hold Sir Keir to account for these little things that he's not actually allowing. And the classical liberals are an actual true capitalist, not a corporatist like the neo-liberals. They are actually a true capitalist ideology. We could be forgiven for thinking that the Trilateral Commission clearly isn't on our side. Well, I would suggest that it's not, through the mass immigration as well, which obviously Bojo's not addressing just now. Back in the 1970s, and also, as I've already said, the feminists and the destruction of the UK society, that this is a part of and this is why it's so prevalent in the universities. Isn't on our sides. Back in the 1970s, they commissioned a report, The Crisis of Democracy, because obviously the Trilateral Commission are not a democratic organisation. They don't want the individuals to have an actual say in what's actually happening within the country. They want to take it away and put it so that the individuals can't actually have direct their own politics at a local level. The Crisis of Democracy, and that's why in Sir Keir Starmer you've got the misrepresentation Labour politicians who are now following the Trilateral Commission's globalist agenda and not the actual underlying desires of the constituents. Only when the local constituents wake up will they actually then see the problems with the Trilateral Commission. And probably reject Labour. I mean, not just Labour, but also the Lib Democrats. The Liberal Democrats are also in bed with the Trilateral Commission, as are parts of the Conservative Party, even potentially Boris Johnson. Back then, democracy was easily managed. And there's no point in bringing in a points-based system when people can just walk into the country. That's completely counterproductive. Unless you're deporting illegal immigrants, then you have an actual immigration system. The fact of having people just walking in is not going to matter if you've got a points-based system or not. Does Sir Keir Starmer, and when the Conservative Party have already signed up to the UN Compact in Marrakesh, and also allowing people who come here access to housing and social security, it's only just going to be a pull, isn't it? With the compliance of just a few Wall Street lawyers and executives. Sorry, let me go back. We could be forgiven for thinking that Trilateral Commission clearly isn't on our sides. Back in the 1970s, they commissioned a report, The Crisis of Democracy. The report noted that in the 1940s and 50s, President Harry S. Truman was able to run America with the compliance of just a few Wall Street lawyers and executives. That's because obviously they bring in legislation to pervert the free market. Back then, the democracy was easily managed and it wasn't seen as a problem. Does Sir Keir really want to be part of this legacy? The management of democracy by corporate elites? And that's correct. I mean, I as a centrist classical liberal agree with this synopsis. So we and the left are not talking at cross purposes just now. This isn't something other than democracy in political parlance. In the 1960s, something had happened. A section of the masses went from being passive to being politically active, a special interest which was causing too much pressure on the state. Typically, in the report, corporate power wasn't mentioned. Therefore, it wasn't seen as a problem, but the answer to the threat of this new special interest was to indoctrinate the young and return them to being passive and obedient. Then, just like that, democracy would be fine again. Therefore, the question must be, why is Sir Keir Starmer a member of the neoliberal international, I would say authoritarian liberal? So I would change neo to